So if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
One superpower.
Yes.
Time travel.
Time travel. All right. Why?
Well, you could go back and correct mistakes you made. You could see all sorts of events, even if you limited the scope to, just going, just like where you live or even your own life. It would just be utterly useful. Although I don't want it to screw up the timeline. I really, really don't want it to screw up the timeline. I feel like if you go back in time and you come back forward again, it's all parallel universes. It can't be just the single universe model.
See, if I did that, I'd just go back and invest in stocks I knew were going to take off.
Like in Back to the Future.
Like in Back to the Future. We'll go with that.
Caleb?
Mine would be flight.
Flight.
But
yeah.
I'd have to be able to go fast.
Superman?
More or less. Yeah.
Not just like a hovering, like blimp type situation.
Right. It would have to be faster than
a speeding bullet?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Or a hovering blimp.
So I've thought about this long and hard, and I settled on teleportation.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't have to pay for gas, don't have to drive.
Very pragmatic.
I can go anywhere I want anytime.
Right.
Although you could make the argument that getting blackout drunk kind of carries the same. That's kind of close.
I suppose so, yeah.
You don't know where you're going to end up. I don't know what teleporting drunk would be like, though. You don't see any person that can teleport in movies drunk. Do you?
Yeah, I think I've seen that in The Magicians.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I've watched a little bit of that.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, the books are awesome, and the series it's one of those rare occasions where I actually think the TV series, the Netflix series, is actually, I don't know. It might be
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
Started
I was gonna
sci-fi.
And it's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
It streams, but I think
But it's sci-fi.
I think it's better than even the books.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen often.
No, it doesn't, but once in a while, and this is the case.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I should probably get into an intro here. Okay. So with all of that, welcome to episode 25 of Stories from a Bar. I'm your host, Chris Osborne, and I took a little road trip today, and I am hanging out with Justin Behan. Did I say that correctly?
Behan.
Behan. Damn it.
That's okay.
Behan.
It's not damn it Behan. It's Behan. That's
just
it.
Justin Behan, owner of Green Wolf Brewing, and Caleb Wiseman, bar manager here at Green Wolf as well. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Thanks for inviting me up. This is a nice little cool place you got here.
Thank you.
Before we, of course, get into anything, we got 7 beers here, samples, and this is going to turn into a little quiz for Caleb as we go throughout the episode because he claims to know each one of these. So I'm going to start with this guy. Which one was this?
That's our Defiance Wheat Ale.
Defiance Wheat Ale. All right. And, of course, Justin, you're the main brewer here.
Actually, I am the co-brewer.
Co-brewer.
I'm the owner and co-brewer. I had been the full-time brewer up until 3 months ago, 4. Gosh, it's been a while.
Has it been 6?
A longtime friend and of mine and a friend of Green Wolf.
And a folk hero around the county.
And a folk hero. A fiddle player of great renown. Bernie. Is it Newman? Newman, yeah.
Bernie Newman.
Bernie Newman.
Seems like a great name.
He's the brew day guy.
All right.
I am, I guess, for lack of better terms, the cellar manager now.
Ah.
I keep track of I do everything but the actual brew day.
Okay.
So, yeah, which is all the cleaning, which is most of being a brewer. And shuffling the beer in between fermenter and bright tank and vessels such as kegs. Yeah.
Well, what can you tell me about this guy? This was the Defiance, you said?
The Defiance. The Defiance wheat beer. It's based on an 18th century colonial recipe made from red wheat malt, chopped straw, a little bit of honey, and that's it. And it's
quite tasty.
It's very different than your typical.
It is.
Beer.
I like this. This is good. Caleb, I suspect you handle just about everything else around
in the public
general
house,
area.
in the tap room. Yes, more or less.
More or less, depending on the week.
Yeah.
We're hanging out, of course, at the public house, and I should mention this will be a fun experiment as I've never used 3 microphones before. which is my new setup, and I did not care for the little stand that came with the new microphone, so I'm using this giant musician one, and it's fantastic.
Love the boom.
This is great. We're hanging out at the public house, and I was mentioned as I came in, I love the old brick type feel. Mm-hmm. It's great. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the building? And obviously, we're here, 329 Main Street in the village of Menands, or Middleburgh. I don't know why I said Menands.
But not Middlebury. And in Middleburgh, it's a beautiful location here at 329 Main Street, Middleburgh, New York, in Schoharie County, New York State, United States, planet Earth. Our good friend Sarah, she is the proprietress of this fine building here on Main Street. She and her crew, they bought this lot years ago and spent years and years putting it back together. And we started talking to them years ago about moving our tap room just a few doors down to this place. And
Because you started right down the street, right?
Yeah, in a space that was half the size. For those keeping score, we went from about, if I remember it, 700 to 1,400 to 1,200. Yeah, 1,200-ish square feet. Red brick interior with black drop ceiling. And this building had been on fire at some point in
Was it really?
the 20th century, and you can see the
wow.
the burnt marks, the scorch marks, which actually I think lend character.
I was going to say, I like that.
I was just hoping that nobody had died during the fire, and as far as we know, there have been no hauntings.
Well, I was going to say, that seems like fun promotion, though.
And there are groups that do go into that.
There's haunted bars out there that probably, I'm sure, make a killing at least 1 month a year.
I'm sure. So that's something we need to work on.
You just start telling people that. I'll edit all this out and just say it's haunted.
Okay, so we won't kill anybody so that we can then have a haunting so that we can make more money.
Well, Tim is leaving.
That's right.
It's a 19th century building, right? Or,
Yes, it's one of the oldest commercial buildings on Main Street.
oh, wow.
I do not know the specific year.
How did you end up settling on this spot, this particular building?
I was having multiple conversations with my pal Sarah, and we talked about it, and she kept on wrangling, saying we needed a bigger space, and I had to agree with her, and she was right.
Yeah, people would turn around so we have bands every Friday and Saturday. Always have, more or less, right?
Every Friday and Saturday. I think maybe the first year it wasn't every Friday and Saturday. It might have been sometimes twice a week, but gosh, I don't know. Maybe from the if it's not from the beginning, it's from near the beginning, twice a week.
Yeah, and we'd have, it'd be packed.
Yeah.
It'd be packed at 40 or 50 people would pack the whole house.
So it would be, yeah.
People would
couldn't
walk
breathe.
in, see that, turn around.
Hell, a full band would take up a third of the damn room.
We would have to close off a bathroom in a 4-piece.
That's right.
Oh, man.
would play.
So crowds would grow, and we'd lose a bathroom.
Oh, no.
It was a bad scene.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
So, but in the original building, the brewery is still in the back part of the building. It used to be small tap room front.
So you still do the brewing in your first building, and this is the tap room
exactly.
and now in public house.
Yeah.
It's a great setup. Like I said, I love it. I love the brick, the openness, the wood bar, and everything like that. How long ago did you move into this spot then? It was a little over a year, right?
Almost exactly a year. It has to be just about to the day. Sometime this month, right? This is bad. This is bad podcasting. It's like we don't know our shit.
It was March.
I see. It's good for me because I just sit here and sip.
That's right. Yeah.
I remember being closed
While the guests break down.
for 2 weekends in the end of February because Jess, Farmhouse Floral Design in Middleburgh, is now in our old tap room.
Mm-hmm.
So she really needed the space for Valentine's Day. So
That's right.
we were out by then, I believe.
Right. And then
2 weeks went
we were
by
closed.
where we were closed, and then we opened up here.
That's right.
So I'm moving on to my second beer here, and in my continuing test of Caleb's knowledge, which guy am I holding?
Snow on the... No.
Oh!
Yes, Snow on the
We
Valley.
made it to the second one before he questioned himself.
Snow on the Valley.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what's...
Psyched yourself out there.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me about Snow in the Valley here. Or
So
Snow
that-
on the Valley, right?
Snow on the Valley. That is our winter warmer, about 9% alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That will help keep you warm, yeah.
So I'll let Justin tell you a little bit about what's in there.
I have my recipes in front of me.
I don't need
Malt.
Yeah, the malts.
That's like the soup Nazi on Seinfeld.
That's right. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm drinking that too. It's one of my favorite beers we make. It's a brand new recipe compared to just about everything else we have. I love it because, I mean, it's got the caramelized, sugar aspect to it, and there's just a bit of little toastiness to it as well. And I think it's just, it's got sort of like a slick mouthfeel.
I like it. It is nice and smooth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cheers to that.
So, were you guys the first brewery to open in Schoharie County?
I heard folklore that the Bull's Head was making beer for a short while, like 20 years ago, and because I remember when I was looking for brewing equipment, like, oh, you lost out. But again, now I'm talking about, recent folklore on podcasts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, this is for a very specific audience anyway. So.
Yes.
We were the first farm brewery.
Yes.
Okay.
The first New York State farm brewery in Schoharie County for certain. And we, in terms of actual commercial brewery, we have to... There had to have been some sort of brewery in the history of the county before us. It would be my guess. But in terms of modern era breweries, there was one in the Northern Catskills, and I forget where it was. I'm mistaken. The flag is correct. Putting it in the ground, saying we were the first New York State farm brewery in the county. We were also somewhere on the first 10 licensed farm breweries in the state as well.
Oh, wow.
When they brought in, when they made the new farm license requirement 5 or so years ago.
Interesting.
More than that. And now there's way more. It's got to be more than 100.
There is... Actually, I have a question related to that towards the end,
Okay.
but there is definitely more than 100.
Yeah, farm breweries.
You guys are both... Well, Caleb, we were talking earlier. You're actually from the Middleburgh area, right?
Yes. Yeah, I've lived here. I've lived in the same house since about 18 years, 19 years. Yeah.
Wow. And Justin, you came about 15 years ago?
Yep. My partner, Tracy Manning, and I, we moved out to Cotton Hill Road, which is way up above the valley. It takes about 12 minutes if there's no ice on the road.
Where were you before Middleburgh?
We lived in central Massachusetts
all right.
at an educational farm
Oh.
out by Orange and Athol, Massachusetts. Be very careful how you say Athol. Which is near Greenfield, which is north of Northampton. And I had plans to open an organic farm. We specifically purchased our 100 acres out here to open up an organic farm. Then I started building a straw bale house, and while I was building that for 6 years, I decided I didn't want to farm. Started home brewing and fell in love with the hobby, as one does.
Well, I mean, if you're already farming some of the ingredients anyway, it's not that much of an extra step, right?
Exactly. Well, but truthfully, that thread does pull through from when I was studying to be an organic farmer, because depending on the batch of beer, we're between 95 and 100% New York State ingredients. Mm-hmm. And even before the farm brewery license came into existence, I was business planning before that, and from the beginning, planning on using local ingredients because it was the point of the matter.
Yeah.
To help local agriculture, local
So
farms.
both of you guys were around when the hurricane came through.
Yes.
Right, back in 2011.
Yeah.
How rough was that on the town?
Where were you on the day it happened, Caleb?
I was driving.
See, I live
up
about
Main
45 minutes from here. Obviously, we got some bad storms, and some
Right.
flooding, but nothing like the heart that you guys were sitting in, right?
Okay, yeah. So my house is just outside of town, and there's a big field right near there. We actually didn't get hit, but everything around us got hit. So we still had to evacuate. I went up to a friend's house who lives up on the mountain over here, and I was there for 2 or 3 days before we could come back into town.
Wow.
Yeah.
In fact, Justin, you pointed out the watermark from the flooding on the inside of the wall here. That's just over 5 feet high.
Yeah. Oh, it's intense. Yeah. I mean, my family lives at about 1,400-foot elevation compared to the 700-ish elevation of the valley. So unless, the ice age comes back and we have to worry about glacier activity, we're pretty safe from even the catastrophic floods. But man, the disaster that rained down literally here in the valley was exceptionally dreadful.
Well, as I mentioned before, I didn't think I had been to Middleburgh before coming out here. And it turns out when I delivered flowers like 15 years ago, I did make at least one trip out here to the funeral home to drop off some flowers. You'd be surprised how many dead bodies I saw or you see delivering flowers.
Yeah.
I'm driving down the road. I'm like, son of a bitch, this seems so familiar.
Yeah.
But again, that was 15 years ago. I mean, that was even before the hurricane. So I didn't really know much of Middleburgh, but it looks like a pretty quaint little village. I love the little looks of it. I need to come back when it's warm because it was a beautiful drive out here. It'd be even better when, there's foliage to look at.
Oh, there's the state parks around here. There's the farms have their farm stands, and hell, Middleburgh is a delight for an upstate village where lots of upstate villages and counties struggle. This town, man, there's so many full storefronts. It's a rarity to have an empty storefront on this main street. We have an exceptional library. We have the public house. We have multiple restaurants, hardware store, which is the backbone of the community, is that wonderful hardware store.
They usually are.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm there every week.
Yeah. It's something else. And a wonderful used bookstore now. I love it here.
Yeah.
So when you were working on your organic farming, what was the last...
We never got
straw that... Oh, okay.
What
was the straw that broke the camel's back there? And you're like,
the straw.
F this, I'm going to start brewing.
The straw of house was actually the straw that broke the camel's back. Because if you have a house built of straw and the entire thing falls on a camel, the camel has no chance. Even like a pack of camels would have no chance against a straw bale house. Straw bale house wins every time. And you can always find it if you're looking for... that's the needle in. So it's actually harder to find the needle in the straw bale house. I'm sorry,
that's fine.
I'm sorry.
I'll move on to sample number 3 here.
Yes.
Caleb?
More beer.
Dire Wolf Whiskey Porter.
Dire Wolf Whiskey Porter. This sounds like it has a little bite to it.
It does. I accidentally filled that all the way for you, and then I had to siphon some off. Because that is, we're calling it 9% right now.
That's what we're calling it.
We're calling it 9%. Okay.
Yep. And it's aged in barrels from Schenectady Distilling.
Oh, wow. That's good.
It's very good. We make it seasonal.
That is nice and smooth. I don't drink a lot of porters and stouts, but this is, a little burn. Yeah, okay. There's the whiskey.
Yeah, little whiskey. This batch, I feel, has more of that whiskey smell or more of that whiskey taste.
Yep.
How long do you generally age it in barrels?
It's not that long, really. These were fresh barrels, and you can use the barrels a few times. Each subsequent time, it takes a little bit longer to have the character of the oak and the bourbon be absorbed into the beer itself. But the first time I used it, it was 5 weeks. Yeah, it's about a month. Give an extra week or so for a fresh barrel.
Oh, wow.
And then afterward, I have the second batch in now, and it's getting close. That one's going to be more like 6 to 7 weeks by the time it's all said and done for the second batch.
Okay.
Then they're going to take the barrels back and repurpose them for some type of spirit.
I believe so.
That is the plan from our understanding.
Nice. So how long ago did you actually start brewing?
I started brewing not that long ago compared to most people who are brewers. My first homebrew batch, it's not quite 10 years. And I had thought about homebrewing for a while. I had formed a love of craft beer kind of, I guess sort of late, in my middle 20s. I really didn't actually drink much in college. A little bit later, second half of college, but fell in love with craft beer in my 20s. Thought about homebrewing. My wife, though, she has a medical condition where she can't drink alcohol anymore, so I felt guilty about the notion of brewing. And she said, "Oh, Justin, you should just it's okay. I won't take offense, and I really
pays
think
the
you
bills."
should do it. And then I got into it, and I loved it. And it was, those first batches, I'd bring them to a friend or a family member, and they'd stare at the glass, thinking "Oh God, Justin made this," and they'd drink it, and then They'd stop, and like the lights
Because
would
your
pop.
friends and family don't want to hurt your feelings?
And
That's-
they would smile as they were drinking the beer, and it made me feel so good. And like that was the beginning. It was like, oh wow, I affected this person. The surprise and the wonder and the enjoyment was only about 2.5 years into the hobby that I was at a crossroads in my middle 30s and said, fuck it. What about making a brewery, starting a brewery? And I called up my friend down the road, Finn. I said, am I crazy for wanting to turn our old house on the property here into a brewery? It has a roof, it has plumbing, it has electric, it has heating.
Everything you need.
We just moved into the straw bale house, and we cleared the camel corpses away after it landed on them. Am I crazy? And then he said, no, it's not as crazy as us starting a cheese operation. And
Kind of crazier that there would be camels around here.
that's true. Those Schoharie County camels.
All over the place.
All over the place. And then I went forward. Ended up not using our second old house on our property. Ended up starting the brewery down here in the valley, and of which which was a good idea. So that's some of the story of Green Wolf.
And you're a history buff too, right?
I am. I was a American history and literature major. So yeah, it's
So obviously that leads to brewery.
it does. And I thought about becoming a Unitarian Universalist minister in there, but that was before I moved to. It's just too much.
I took that over for you.
You did. Actually, I'm the minister. I write the essays, the philosophical essays.
Do you really?
Yes, I do.
Oh, wow.
Every week. We do a newsletter every week, and part of the newsletter list is I write what I call the musings.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a philosophical essay on life.
Oh, wow.
You can find it on Facebook. Like
Yes,
us
you
on
can.
Facebook.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you can
I did come across a small article as I was looking up some stuff on Green Wolf. I have to ask you about, do you really use a modified stationary bike?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I'm surprised you found that.
Oh, the stationary bike.
What is, yes, this was an article I found on the Brew Central website.
Damn. Not the bike. Not the bike.
I gotta say, I couldn't be happier that I brought this up now just by that reaction.
Okay.
What is going
I know
on?
about the bike
Okay.
either.
Okay.
I believe it said
This
a
is-
modified stationary bike to help
yeah.
process ingredients, right?
So about 6 batches in the history of Green Wolf, the bike stopped being used. But what I did, so
I gotta say, that's probably great exercise if you're spending a lot
Oh
of your
my
time
God.
drinking beer.
it was so intense. You don't understand. So we found the stationary bike in a driveway on Main Street in the Middleburgh, brought it to Green
Really
Wolf.
cuts costs.
Set up a huge flywheel to the mill. And so I'd have to feed the mill and then get on the bike and pedal the bike, which would turn the mill, crush the grains into a bucket. And it was the most horrific experience you can ever imagine.
Maybe
It
for
was
you,
like-
this sounds fantastic to me.
it was like going uphill in a crushed rock storm both ways on the
Oh,
way
God.
to school. It was a lot of work. It was fun. It made for good pictures. And
How'd you come up with that idea? You just came across the bike one day and thought, I got to try this?
It just came. I don't know if I saw
Were you
some type of
hand-cranking
cra-
beforehand?
Hand cranking. No, I was never.
The mill.
Trying to find a more efficient way from hand cranking?
I think. God, that sounds lewd.
It did. It really did.
Purposefully.
That's what she said.
No, it only took about. It was like less than 10 batches, and at that point we bought one of
motor.
the motor, and to turn the mill.
That's
But
what
it made
I
for good
know.
pictures, and Brew Central found me to do the story within that first few months of us being open. So it went down in history and is more famous than it should.
So there are pictures of that.
There are.
Oh, I didn't
yes.
see any pictures.
Yes, there are. I'll have to put some out. That's a good idea. Some old school pictures from using the bike mill. Oh, nightmarish.
I'd be very curious to see that. Do you have a
I'm
favorite?
so tired after thinking about that now.
All right, on to my next sample here. I'm trying to pace myself, but it's not going that well.
Especially with that one. So that's our Ravens Black IPA.
Okay.
And it's going to be about 7.5%, 8%.
Yeah, I'm going to slow down a little bit.
It starts good a lot. It gets a lot lighter after this.
I did hit the dark ones fairly early.
It does get a lot.
Although the next dark one after this is the lightest in ABV, smallest, shortest.
Yes. Short and stout.
Lord have mercy.
So, Ravens, what was
Ravens Black.
Ravens Black IPA.
No, yeah, the Ravens Black IPA.
So, what's the deal
Ravens
behind with this guy?
Black IPA.
Yeah.
What's the story?
Yes.
The story is I feel as though about 7 or 8 years ago when I was homebrewing, black IPAs were really, they hit a little bubble of being popular. I feel like I don't see them as much now.
No, I'm always a little surprised. I do a double take kind of when I see a real dark IPA like that now.
At the time, what is it? It's 20. It was like the early 2010s. Like black, there was in the homebrew magazines, and I would find a few examples, and oh, that's really interesting. I like that. So I decided to make a homebrew recipe. Actually, at the time, I was developing recipes for the future brewery as a home brewer, and this was the first recipe I finished as a home brewer for the future Green Wolf. And I mean, the secret of a black IPA is you don't want it to be too much IPA. You don't want it to be too much just porter/stout. You really want some of the bite, but you still want sort of that roasty, dark chocolatey character.
That might be one of my favorite sipping beers here.
Yeah.
I can see that.
And it's my mother-in-law's
That is a good
favorite
sipping beer.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite beer that you've brewed so far?
It might be the Dire Wolf
The Dire Wolf?
that you had previously.
The whiskey porter.
Whiskey porter's your favorite?
Mine might be the Abbey Gargoyle.
Abbey Gargoyle. I like the name.
Yeah. And that's our Belgian double.
And that's really at peak right now.
How long have you been with Green Wolf, Caleb? How'd you start working here?
I started working. I was on the other side of the bar for years and years here, and
With your dad.
Yeah, with my dad. We would do trivia nights here,
Mm-hmm.
and what I mean by that is we would participate. I didn't work here yet, and I was.
So you just spend enough time here, and they figure they might as well hire you because you're here all the time anyway?
It can happen.
That's what happened. The bartenders left to pursue other jobs, and then Justin was working more, bartending more, and then
I was convinced you would be the answer.
and 2.5 years later,
Yeah.
I guess here we are.
We'll call it 2.5 years later.
Yeah, and it was August.
Are you convinced?
Wait, if I time traveled, I could find the specific moment.
That is true.
It's true.
Is this both of your full-time gigs? I know because the public house is only open Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays, right?
And
Right
Sundays in the warm months.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
Coming soon, so maybe April, maybe even
March.
March.
Oh, wow.
Open up on Sundays again. But
Yeah.
it's both of our full-time gigs.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then we have a bunch of other part-time folks, including Bernie, who's the brew day guy, and then Tim and Ray are part-time bartenders, although Tim is leaving, the bastard.
Yeah. Tim is also finding.
So you guys have a job opening for a bartender?
We do.
I've never tended bar, and this is too far for me.
Okay.
I have been thinking about trying to do like a guest bartending thing, but I don't think it would go very, very well. I'm
think
more of a drinker.
I think you could pull something off here.
Perhaps we'll give that a try one day then.
Yeah.
That'll keep me from drinking, that's for sure.
Yeah. No, it won't.
Yeah, I don't know why I said that. It won't. So you, of course, mentioned you're a licensed New York State farm brewery. Are you able to get most of your ingredients from the Middleburgh area here?
Actually, all of our hops come from Schoharie County.
Nice.
Every single bit of them now. And at the moment, all of our malt comes from New York Craft Malt out in Batavia.
Okay.
And they're lovely folks. We're actually getting a drop shipment from them tomorrow. So yeah, at the moment, every single batch of our beer is 100% New York State and 100% local hops.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did it's been 9 years, I think, since the hurricane. Has that affected like the farm? I think it was back in 2011.
Yes,
This is August of
2011.
2011.
Yep.
Has that affected the farming or anything like that you've noticed?
I don't believe
I mean, you weren't really into the brewing back when that happened.
Yeah,
right?
we weren't open yet. I was in the first year of just business planning up at my house when the flood happened. And from what I mean, it seems as all the farms have come back to previous levels.
Yeah.
I think it happened relatively quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't noticed any farms not here, so.
from previously.
Right.
Well, I get that's good.
Yeah, well, there's a strong sense.
Considering there was 5 feet of water in here in the surrounding area,
Right.
yeah.
There's a strong sense of community and camaraderie around here. I'm a bit of a broken record when it comes to talking about the power of local community, but everybody just pretty much in times of need, especially here, just gather together and work together to survive and get back to normal again.
Nice. I noticed on your website you talked about, or at least mentioned, establishing yourselves as carbon neutral brewery.
Yes.
Are you fully carbon neutral?
No, we're not. However, at this point,
That's impressive. It's certainly an impressive goal.
all of our electric now is, we don't have our own solar panels, but we're part of an energy group in the capital region that supplies all of our energy, and it's all from renewable resources, solar.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's cool. And we, of course, give our spent grains away to farmers.
Sometimes we get steaks for it.
Exactly. Yeah, but
Highland Hollow.
Highland Hollow.
Was it tough to get to the point of getting or 100% like solar and wind power?
No, my business partners, Barb and Chuck Manning, they were the ones who discovered this company looking for basically shareholders in their program. They're the ones who have all the information, but they knew about this group who were looking for people to invest, and they signed Green Wolf up, and so then all of our electric bills come from that renewable project.
Were there different kinds of challenges when it comes to the brewing then? Or I'm curious if that has any effect on like the normal brewing process. Trying to stay carbon neutral or solar or wind power. I could see why the bike would come in handy.
Yeah, that was definitely a reason to do it. Well, that electric bill is taken care of as well through the group of which I can't remember their names. So really, there's been no effect. One thing that I would love to have at some point is to have hot water solar panels that preheat the brewing water.
Interesting.
But
is that an option? Or something that exists? I have no idea. I don't know a lot about solar. Honestly.
Right. It's definitely a possibility, and breweries have done it before. We still need to figure out our medium and long-term future about brewing. We have a small electric 2-barrel brewery right now in a very small space. Most likely in the coming years, we will be moving the brewery to a different location, and I think when that happens, I do want to, in the new construction, build in a solar component to preheat the brewing water.
Interesting. Caleb, where am I here?
That is our farm to stout.
Farm to stout.
And that's at 5%?
4.5% ABV.
Yeah.
So what's in the farm to stout here?
Lots of specialty malts. We have chocolate rye. We have chocolate wheat. We have Crystal 80 malt. We have... Those are most of the specialty malts, I think.
Vienna?
Vienna. We have Vienna in that as well. Mm-hmm. Out of all the beers that we make here at Green Wolf, that probably has the most complex malt bill of any beer we make. Maybe the Dire Wolf is about there as well, but I think the Farm to Stout is the one that has the most
that's complex. Not bad. That goes down nice and easy.
Yeah.
It's light.
Yeah, it is light. Like I said, I don't drink a lot of stouts, so I don't know what to expect a lot of the time. I've always been more of a IPA, pale ale, Pilsner type guy.
Yeah.
But this does go down nice and easy. One of the things that's really cool, I noticed you mentioned on your website, you guys are big supporters of the local art scene, right?
Yes.
To the point where I see you even have paintings that people could purchase?
Mm-hmm, definitely. At the moment, we have artwork or photography exhibited and for sale from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different artists.
Oh, wow.
I do believe. We want to get some more up on the wall. And, of course, in terms of the arts, I think it's especially where local music is where we shine even stronger.
Yes.
Do you guys you mentioned bands every Thursday or Friday and Saturday?
Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday, 7 to 10.
Is there a good art scene out in Middleburgh here? Is there a lot of artists? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know a lot about Middleburgh. So
there are a lot of artists, I think, and musicians as well. We're very lucky. It's tough for me to find solo artists in bands now to schedule new ones because I have a working list 40 deep now of people who are just coming back, all within.
Oh, wow.
Most of them are within an hour's drive, less than.
You are in an interesting location because it is kind of smack dab in a lot of spots people like to go to, so they have to
Right.
kind of drive through Middleburgh to get to these other spots.
Exactly. Just to the west, there's Cooperstown. To the north, it's the Mohawk Valley. To the northeast, it's the Capital District. To the east, it's Hudson Valley, and then to the south, it's the Catskills. And yet, to go to and fro, Middleburgh and Schoharie County is right in the middle of somewhat of a bullseye. And the project here, in terms of tourism, is to give people a reasons to stop here on their way back and forth. And Green Wolf's front and center of that pursuit.
Nice. So you guys don't actually have food, but there are a couple snacks, right?
And you can
And of course, bringing
food in from
Yeah.
all the restaurants here.
I do really enjoy that. That's become like a big thing now.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
great.
it's great.
It is.
Because there's so many great local places around usually when you go to a brewery. So it's always nice to have that option.
Yeah.
One restaurant I want to mention is...
By the way, we had a great pizza from across the street here.
Yeah, so that was the Pasta and Grill. But what I want to mention is the Hen and the Hound Bistro in
I have
Middleburgh.
heard that's a place I've heard of like more frequently, fairly
Okay.
frequently.
Yes, so Tyler DeGroff used to work at New World Bistro in Albany. He used to be the sous chef and
That's close,
the
right?
head chef.
Where's the Hen and the Hound?
The Hen and the... We could walk there.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right on the outskirts of the main drag.
Yep, so about a 3-minute walk from Green Wolf. But yes, so it's a little slice of the New World Bistro right here in Middleburgh, more or
Nice.
less.
And what's the name of the place we had that good pizza?
The Middle Village Pasta and Grill.
Tomato and garlic clove or something?
Yes. What's
I don't know. I forget the name of it.
Napolitina.
The Napolitina. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that.
There's not too many things you can go wrong putting it on a pizza other than pineapple.
We have
Oh, I don't know about that.
I like the Hawaiian pizzas.
Yeah.
No.
Not into that?
No. I will mention ordering a pizza at home, and my girlfriend will want pineapple. And I'll say, "Fuck it, we're not getting a pizza. I'll make something else."
We're lucky. Both. We have 2 Italian restaurants here, and they both make awesome pizza.
And they're both right next to us.
Yeah.
That's
The other one is
You guys
Hubie's,
have
which
some-
is
yeah.
next door to us.
There's a lot of. It's one thing I've noticed quickly is there's a lot of good stuff all walking
Yeah.
distance.
Yeah, it's pretty rad.
Is your beer available outside of the tap room in places?
In a
Some
few
places,
places, very local. So we are a 2-barrel system. We make about 60 gallons a batch.
Give or take. Yep.
Yep. And so we have our beer in the Bull's Head in Cobleskill. Right now, I think...
Oh well, there's the Sapbush Hollow Cafe.
Yes.
But they're down in West Fulton, just a little south of here, about 10 minutes drive, and they have an awesome breakfast. They're only open Saturdays. They're exceptional with this, just like all amazing fresh espresso beverages, and they've just recently opened up for short menu dinners on Saturday nights featuring Green Wolf beer and
Nice.
other local beverages as well. Only we're the only beer on the menu. So yeah.
Right.
Nice.
So that's a good one to mention. And but as far as the capital region, not just yet, but we are working on that.
We have up until now been very much focused on retail sales out of the tap room and now the public house here in Middleburgh, but we definitely are looking to grow the wholesale self-distribution.
Nice. All right, I got 2 beers left as we go through. Which guy is this?
That looks like the Abbey Gargoyle.
Yep.
Abbey Gargoyle. I love the name.
Belgian double.
Belgian double. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about the Abbey Gargoyle.
This is one of my personal favorites. It's an amber-style Belgian ale.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, it gets that nice, funky, malty character from the Belgian yeast.
A little bubble gummy.
Yeah, and what's in? We got the Vienna, and we have
Crystals, right?
That's right. The crystal wheat is in that, and the base malt. But that's really about it. From that, it's just adding that crazy Belgian yeast and letting the temperature go where it may on the fermentation process for that, and then it just.
We do have honey in that too.
Oh, that's right.
Ooh,
Yes. Oh
all
my
right.
God.
A lot of honey.
Okay.
And not only that, it's the buckwheat honey.
Yes.
The buckwheat honey, which is so rich and almost starts to be molasses.
Similar in color to that as well. The
thank
honey
you for
itself.
saving me.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Man,
Yeah.
it was so embarrassing almost.
Well, that is a
Almost
nice amber
embarrassing
color.
as the bicycle or the camels.
We touched on it earlier than
bicycles.
possible number of farm breweries in general in the state. I know, just obviously I started this podcast because I love beer. Essentially, that's the heart of it. It's also kind of whatever I want it to be sometimes. But I always love going to new places, checking out, beers and just chatting with people. I am curious, though, being a brewer. I think there's at least over like 400 just breweries in general in the state. Do you ever think there'll be a point of like oversaturation?
Definitely in some markets, I would think. I'm going to be fascinated to see where the industry goes, even in the next 5 years.
Because they keep loosening regulations a little bit here and there over the years, making it a little easier to open stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of curious to see when people are like, all right, there's enough around.
Yeah. There are more breweries opening up every day, and there's more breweries opening than closing. I think
that's another interesting aspect. There's not a lot of them that close.
So far. Yeah. It's a rarity.
Yeah,
it's still a rarity when you hear of one closing. And, like Empire, for instance, but that was such a huge example of a big brewery becoming just getting in some type of financial duress. I think over the next 5 years, if I had to wager, you're going to have a lot of the smaller breweries kind of figure out, okay, do we want to take it to the next level? Has this been more than we depended on, that we thought that we could take a bite out of, and we're just gonna? It's been fun for a few years, and we're gonna close. I'm very curious as to what's going to happen. I think some markets are going to oversaturate, and then it's going to become more competitive, perhaps, which is interesting because one of the aspects I love about the brewing industry in general is the camaraderie between brewers.
It's one thing I learned early talking to just a handful of brewers.
Yeah.
It's a real close-knit community.
Right.
Absolutely.
It is very helpful.
Everyone's very
courteous.
supportive of each other and everything like that.
We clean our kegs at Sirius Brewing. We carry Back Barn. We carry their red right now.
Yep.
I remember your podcast with Brenda.
Yeah, Brenda was great. She had some really great, just really great being a person stories in general, not even just about the brewery.
Yeah. And we're good friends with the Helderberg Brewery down in Rensselaerville in southern Albany County.
Yeah, it used to be the Carey Institute.
Still is the Carey Institute.
Okay.
It's an aspect of the Carey Institute is the brewery.
Yep. And then we carry other spirits and even mead from the Helderberg Mead Works.
Yeah,
that's true. You guys have, for anyone that may not just be interested specifically in Green Wolf beer, other options.
Yep,
Right.
and we also have guest taps too, because we are a 2-barrel system. So some beer that we carry, sometimes we have Sloop, we have Juice Bomb. You have to have Juice Bomb.
It is good stuff.
It seems.
Yep.
But if I had to take a time machine 5 years into the future, and I was going to see what the industry was, I think it's going to be quality will rise to the top, and quality and experience will rise to the top. And if there are places where there are too many breweries, that will win out, and those with less of a good game plan, less good beer, and less of good experience will not make it if there is an oversaturation point.
Yeah. It's an interesting question when I thought of it. I'm like, like I said, I love going to places, trying some new beers, but I'm like, how often can I actually do this?
Right.
Before I'm like, yeah, I need a little break. So are you cooking up anything new at the moment?
We're looking at a few different new recipes in the future. We're looking at red ale.
Something you want to try your hand at that you haven't done yet?
And we're also looking to one thing that we're not much of. We don't push a lot of IPAs out of our brewery. We tend to go for more malty style beers, and we are very keen on this year wanting to build like at least a good house IPA. Yeah. I don't want to get too much involved in the New England style IPA scene because so many people do it so well, and
it's tough trying to. When I go to a beverage center, I'm like, that sounds good, but I'm like, there's just so many options.
So many,
absolutely.
And I feel very proud of us focusing on so many of the other wonderful beer styles.
I think that's another thing about helping yourself to stand out when, of course, there's so many other breweries as well.
Right.
Having more of a unique selection.
Yeah, and also just using so many local ingredients. I think there are a lot of farm breweries, but I don't think there still aren't many examples of farm breweries using, at this point, 100% New York State ingredients.
Mm-hmm. On to my last sample here as we get close towards the end.
So that's our newest beer, actually, and this is completely Bernie's.
It is completely Bernie's.
Yeah, so
completely Bernie's. That's not the name.
That's not the name.
Okay.
Although perhaps it should have been.
Yeah. Well, actually,
completely Bernie.
I'll have the completely Bernie, please.
It's our ESB, and I actually wanted it to be our extra special Bernie, but it's an extra special bitter. That's our Eminence. Not as
I like
bitter
extra
as
special Bernie.
Yeah.
We did too.
Yeah. Bernie didn't.
And
it's a shame. I'm still trying to get someone to name a beer Slap and Tickle. It's not. No one's taken me up on it yet.
It hasn't.
I heard that. Okay, I remember that in a podcast. Actually.
Yeah. So I still throw it out there every once in a while, but it still hasn't happened. You guys could be the first.
Not even Rogue? Wow, that's.
I think you said that to Real McCoy. I think.
I tried it there. I think I tried it with Kevin in Rare Form. Maybe it came up somewhere else.
Maybe if there was a historical use of the word slap and tickle.
There's probably an X-rated
Wasn't
one.
that the previous name of Sloansville or something? It was Flap and Tickle. No, probably not. I'm sorry, everybody from Sloansville.
They are too.
At least they're not New Jersey. But so, future plans for the brewery? You mentioned possibly a larger facility from down the road soon.
We're looking to complete our outdoor patio this year.
Nice,
which will be lovely. And have Bernie make some new recipes this year under his own power and imagination. And start differing out some recipes beyond the ones that I created originally.
He's homebrewed a batch of the red, right?
He has. Okay. We'll be tasting that next week.
Yeah. Nice. So what are some of your interests outside of Green Wolf then? I know I had Craig Gravina on an earlier episode, and then he emailed me afterwards with some names of people to potentially talk to, and I believe he referred to you as the Vrooman's Nose hike guy.
Oh, yes.
So I assume you're into hiking.
I am in hiking. I am a musician, I'm a songwriter, and a writer.
What do you play?
Guitar.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a guitar. And I play my own venue sometimes because, well...
Why not?
It's my damn venue.
Exactly.
Fuck it.
We don't have to pay you.
And I don't have to pay myself. And if you don't like it, then I'm sorry. No, I'm a songwriter, a musician, I'm a writer. I write my philosophical essays every week on the newsletter, on the email news list called The Musings. So, I have trouble fitting in all of my pursuits. It's been a boon and a bane of my existence, all of my interests.
Caleb?
I'm here a lot.
You are here.
I'm here a lot. I have a 3-year-old that I
I'm sure that keeps you pretty busy.
Yep, it does. And I'm here a lot.
Okay. Seems like a great way to wrap things up.
I wouldn't have it any other way either.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to do it for this episode of Stories from a Bar. Big thank you, Justin and Caleb, for taking the time to hang out. I really enjoyed all these samples that we've gone through.
I'm here a lot, too.
I definitely need to make a trip back, especially when it's nice out. Today was kind of crap. I'm fortunate that it stopped snowing and raining from this morning, but it is cold and wintry. And I want to come back up here when the foliage is out and it's nice walking around weather.
That's great.
And when your patio's done, that'll be great.
And they let the camels out of the barn.
That's true. Yes. And there'll be just camels wandering the streets of Middleburgh here for some reason.
Nice.
You can check out the Green Wolf website at greenwolfales.com for the drink menu. And be sure to like and follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep tabs on all the awesome stuff they have going on. The band's coming through. Trivia with Caleb, I see that you host, right?
We will be. We've done trivia in our old spot.
Most importantly, Dungeons and Dragon nights we need to talk about.
Yes. Every other Sunday, as of right now, every other Sunday. We are not open on Sundays. So we have a private Dungeons and Dragons 2 sessions I'm looking
Private dungeons.
Private dungeon.
It wasn't weird. Now it is.
So once we open on Sundays, we can open that up to every Sunday, Dungeons and Dragons. We would have new slots for people to come in and to join a campaign.
Nice. Anything else you guys want to throw in before we sign off?
Call us for any events you want us to do.
Call Caleb.
Yes.
He's here a lot.
So he says. And I assume you got all these, my little test right on all these samples. I wouldn't know if you didn't.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. I will take your word for it. So a big thank you, guys, for hanging out and inviting me up. It was a great time.
Awesome.
Big thank you to everyone out there for checking out the show. Be sure to like and follow Stories from a Bar on Facebook, as well as the show on Twitter and Instagram at StoriesFAB. You'll, of course, find the show on Apple and Google Podcasts, Podbeam, Stitcher, Spotify, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and, more importantly, leave a fantastic review. I greatly appreciate it. I really do. And help spread the word. So until next time, cheers.
Cheers.